Hi, I'm Jane from Jane's Hot Off the Hook. This is the tutorial for my Marie Curie Daffodil. Many of you have received a written copy of my pattern, but if you struggle with reading patterns, then I hope this little video helps. For this demonstration, I am using double knit cotton. This is James C. Brett 100% cotton. I'm also using a 3.5mm crochet hook. So to start with, I do a magic ring. If you can't do a magic ring, then you can do a loose chain of 2 and work all your stitches into the first chain that you made. But for the magic ring, just wrap it around your fingers, and you've got the 2 lines here. Go under the first and catch hold of this loop at the back here. Okay, I keep my finger on it and I literally just yarn over and pull through. I don't pull anything tight, I leave it as a loose loop there. Okay, and when we work, we are going to be working across both these the strands, so you have the loop and the tail. The tail is there so when you come to close up the circle, you can pull it. If you don't go over that tail, when you come to pull it, it will not pull up. We're going to be doing 12 half trebles. In American terminology, that is half double crochets. We're going to yarn over, insert into the whole loop, pull up our yarn, and there's 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through all of the 3 loops. It is a little bit fiddly when you're starting because there's not a lot to hold on to and it's just a loose baggy loop, but the more you do, the easier it will become. I'll do that again. Yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, 3 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. And again. Okay, that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. Now it looks kind of weird, nothing like the centre of a circle. When you come to pull the tail, just make sure that it doesn't twist on itself. So hold the work here and gently pull. As you can see, it's starting to close up. Just keep pulling, and sometimes you'll feel, if you pull too hard on some cottons, they will break, but just try and pull it so it's firm enough in. Now the tail I'm going to leave at the back, and I'm going to slip stitch into this first stitch here, but I'm not going to work into both loops like you would normally to join it. I am just going to work into the back loop of all of these stitches for the next part. So insert, and we're just going to slip stitch together, and that's closed up our center circle. Now I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to skip the next stitch and insert into the back loop of this next one, and I'm just going to slip stitch. Chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then insert, skip one and insert into the next. And repeat that all the way round. you want to end up with 6 loops. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this last one, 1, 2, 3, is just going to insert into where the first one starts. Okay, so there we have, which looks like a simple little flower already. So now we're going to work into these loops and make our 6 petals. Okay, so slip stitch into the first loop, the chain of 3 there, and we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to yarn over twice. This is a double treble. In American terminology, this is just called a treble. Okay, so yarn round twice, insert and pull up a loop. You'll have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, take 2 off, yarn over, take 2 off. There will be 2 left on there. To do a normal double treble, you would just completely take both, yarn over and take both off. But we are going to be doing 3 of them together. So we're going to start all 3. 1, 2, round. Exactly the same. Yarn over, take 2 off, yarn over, take 2 off, leaving it unfinished. Yarn over round twice. So yarn over, take 2 off, yarn over, take 2 off. Now we are going to finish all 3 of these stitches together. So we will have 4 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 together, and that has pinched them all together. We're going to do our little picot on the top, the little point of the petal. So we're going to chain 2, and we're going to slip stitch into this second one from the hook. And I like to make sure that I've got 2 loops above from the chain and just 1 that's below. So insert, pull up a loop and straight through, because I'm not doing an actual stitch, I'm just slip stitching it. So it's now a little point. And I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And slip stitch back down into the chain space. That is our first little petal that's been made. We're going to repeat that again for all of the other chain spaces. So slip stitch, chain 4, double treble, but don't finish, double treble, number 3, finish them all off together, chain 2, slip stitch into the first chain that you made, or second chain from the hook, and chain 4, and slip stitch back into the chain space. That's our second petal made. I'm going to carry on to the end, and I'll show you when we get back. So I've just got to the end. I've just slip stitched into that last chain. Now to secure my work and to stop it from coming undone, I'm just going to chain 1. I'm going to snip the yarn and then just pull the loop through, pull it down to tighten. I'm just going to actually, because they're all secure anyway, I am literally just going to hide them away a little bit. and that one's done. So yellow, finished with. And that is the base of our daffodil. Now, as you can see, we have this ridge here of the loops, the front loops of the stitches from when we worked those back petals. We are now going to be working underneath into those there. Now, it is a little bit fiddly, and especially where we joined, you're not sure how many to go. Now, I've said in my pattern there's 12 stitches, but to be fair, if you have 13 or slightly less, it's not going to make a huge difference. When we work into those as well, you may find it easier to fold down and work into the stitches with the petal folded down out of the way. I've got this nice bright orange that I'm going to use, and it is a little bit fiddly, but at least you now have something to hold on to. I do a slip knot. However you do your slip knots, it's entirely up to you. There we go. Whatever works for you is fine, and it doesn't matter where you start. It can be anywhere. So I'm going to, you can see here I've got 2 loops, so I'm just going to go into the front of that loop, and I'm going to do a double crochet straight directly into that. So I've pulled up a loop, okay, I've laid my tail end over the top along the edge of the work, so I'm trapping that down as I go. So yarn over and take those 2 off. I'm now going to go to the next stitch, which is here. I've gone under there, I'm going under the tail as well, and I'm going to pull up a loop, yarn over, take the 2 off. So this is just a double crochet, or in American terminology, that is a single crochet. And I'm going to do that all the way around. Now, after a little while, sometimes the tail can get in the way, but once it's actually secured down, and I normally go for about 5 stitches, once it's secured down out of the way, I tuck it out the back so it's not getting in my way. Okay, so I've got about 5 there. I'm just going to tuck that out the way. Don't need it anymore. It's secured down, and when we come to finish off, we can just snip that end. So now we are going to do the next row. So I'm just going to chain 1. Oh, but I did slip stitch to join into the round. Okay, that's our first round made. You can, of course, now chop off, snip that off, so it's all secured. 1 less end to sew in. As many of you have heard me say in the group, I hate sewing in ends. So now we've chained the 1, and we're going to work with a little increase all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to work 1, 2, 3. You can obviously work in both loops now. It's not essential to do front loops or back loops. We're going to now do an increase, and all that is working 2 stitches into the same stitch. There we go. That's 4 and 5. Again, crochet 3, 1, 2, 3, and then an increase, and the next one, 1, 2, 3. No, I did do 12 stitches. I'm very proud of myself because I didn't bother to count. I'm going to increase. There we go. And now I'm going to slip stitch into that first stitch that I made there. There we go. So that is our little trumpet. We just need to finish off. You can try and do little picots if you want to, but the easiest way to get a little frilly edge is just by doing a chain and a slip stitch. I use this quite often when I'm joining granny squares together. It gives a nice little decorative edge. And what is this? A chain, and then instead of doing an actual stitch, you're going to slip stitch and then chain one, slip stitch, chain one. Try and make this nice and loose, because then that will help with the frilliness. Chain one to secure. So there we go, that is that one made. I'm just going to sew that end in. I do recommend sewing them in as you go if you can. I know for some of you, you've made 40 at a time. If you think you've got 40 ends that you need to sew in, that would do my head in. So try and sew your ends in as you go. It will just save you a headache at the end. And again, I just take my needle, my thread, and go down the length of the trumpet, and then just undo a couple of stitches around. There we go, that'll probably do anyway. It's already secured because you've chained one and it tightens up. Just cut that off, and that is a flower. Now for some of you, you want to leave it at just the flower. There you go. Okay, if you want to leave it at just a flower, then you're complete. Everything is all sewn in at the back, and that's it. If you want to go ahead and make the leaves, I'm going to be doing that next. So I've got this nice sort of like appley green. You can use dark green, whatever yarn you fancy using. So here I am going to make a slip knot, and I'm going to chain 10 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we don't class this loop that's on the hook as a stitch, as a chain. So when I say we're going to work into the second chain from hook, it's not this one here, it's this one. Okay, and we're going to just work double crochet. Now we're going to do 5 half trebles along. Okay, so yarn over, insert the hook, and that's 1 half treble made. Again, I tried to work into it so that there's 2 lines from the chain that is above my hook and 1 underneath. Okay. If you find that's too difficult, you can work the other way, so there's 1 above and 2 below. But I recommend you don't switch between the 2, because that will affect the number of stitches. So it will either make you lose stitches or it will make you gain stitches. Okay, so don't switch between the 2, either do one or the other. So we want 5. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There should be 3 chains left, which there are. And now we're going to work just some double crochets again. So 3 double crochets, and that's in the last one. Okay, now we're back to the end where our tail is. We are now going to do the little picot on the top. So chain 2, slip stitch into that second chain from the hook. Now we are going to be working back along the reverse side of our leaf. Okay, So this is the place where I'm going to do it. I'm going to try and bring that closer to you. There we go. So there's the underside of the chain. There will be just one strand to work into, and the tail I'm going to lay across the top of the work, and I'm going to trap it down. So double crochet, 1, 2, 3, half trebles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now my tail end is now getting in my way, so just tuck it out the way. And can you see here is the last one, and I'm just going to do a double crochet. Get the end out of the way. Chain 1 to secure. I'm going to leave, this one doesn't need to be such a long tail. I'm going to do that. I'm literally just going to make sure that that tail is there all trapped down, so that can be cut straight off. And I am going to thread this tail back through the leaf. Just going back up there. It's fine, just a few stitches. And there we go. That's one leaf made. Now we're just going to do the second one. Right, so I've just done that, and I'm going to leave this tail slightly longer because I'm going to use that to sew it all up. So just cut that tail end off. So there are 2 leaves, one with the tail attached, one without. So let's put it all together. I'm going to place both of them facing upwards. So they're the back, that's the front. You can tell which way because it curves upwards, okay? And I'm literally just going to do a couple of little tack-in stitches over, sort of like just over the top there, just to join them together. I'm going to do a little stitch, because it's the same colour, you won't see it. I'm going to go and sort of like trap them together. So little stitch in there, see, it's not really visible at all. Okay, and I'm going to come back down, so they're joined together there. And I'm going to take our flower, and I'm just going to put it in the back here, and I generally want to stitch it around here. I don't want to be doing it too high up because you don't want a chance seeing it, plus also the petals are a little bit more flopsy, so you want to be able to sew it onto the center where it's a little bit more stable. I'm going to come out of my work sort of more to the side here, okay, and my first stitch will be on the base of the petal here. It's more towards the side of the leaves, and then just sort of catching some of the yarn on the flower, sewing it on. Again, coming through some of the stitches there, through the leaf, and again just doing a little hand sewing. Some of you may have a better technique for sewing on. This is, for me, probably the easiest. I'm just going to pick up a little bit of a stitch for the side, and then finally what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up into the leaf a little bit, okay, and I'm just going to go through just a little way, probably halfway up the petal, pick up one of the back sort of like yarns with the petal, so that's attached to that petal. Again, going through, maybe picking up a little bit from here. It stops the leaf from flopping around too much. And I'm going to come down to the bottom. That is now secure. I'm just going to do a little lock stitch. So normally I do that and come through, loop it. That is now secure, and hide my end through the leaf. There we go. Trim that off. I try and make it look a bit neater. But there you go. That is one little daffodil. This is the double knit version. This is the 4-ply version. So this one's done on a 3.5mm hook, and this one's done on a 2.5mm hook. And you'll see on the Facebook group how I've made some using some very fine thread, and that's done on a 2mm hook, and they come out just that little bit smaller. I've also done some in 2 strands of double knit acrylic yarn on a 6mm hook, and they've come out huge. So you can play around, use any yarn you like. But anyway, I hope that helps, and if you have any problems at all, just drop me a message. I'm happy to help where I can. But hopefully this little tutorial has helped you. Thanks very much, and don't forget to show me what you've made on Facebook. Tag me if you can. But I'll always try and have see what you've made. Thank you. Bye bye.